It all started on a quiet Saturday morning in my neighborhood. The sun was out, the air was fresh, and I had just finished my coffee while checking the Tesla app on my phone to confirm that my car had finished charging overnight. Everything seemed normal, at least until I stepped outside. There was my EV charger cable lying half buried in the grass, ripped completely out of the wall. At first, I thought maybe something had fallen, maybe some freak accident had happened. But no, the mounting screws were scattered across my driveway. The charger housing cracked like someone had gone at it with a crowbar. My stomach dropped. I live in a suburban neighborhood, the kind where everyone knows each other at least by face, and we all wave politely when passing by. But among all the families, there's one person everyone talks about. Let's just call her Karen. She's the kind of neighbor who complains about kids' bicycles being left near the sidewalk, files HOA complaints about grass being half an inch too tall, and once yelled at the mailman because he parked his truck too close to her driveway. Now, here's the thing. Karen has never been a fan of my Tesla. When I first bought it, she made some snide remark about showing off and asked me why I didn't just stick to normal cars like everyone else. I brushed it off at the time, but in that moment, staring at my destroyed charger, I had a gut feeling she was behind it. So, I checked my security cameras, and sure enough, there she was. At around midnight, when the street was empty, Karen walked right up to my garage wall, yanked at the charger cord like she was pulling weeds, and after a few tugs, the whole unit tore free from the wall. She didn't even look nervous. She tossed the charger onto the grass, dusted off her hands, and casually walked back to her house like she had just finished some noble mission. I couldn't believe it. Who does that? This wasn't just some petty prank. This was vandalism. That charger cost me thousands of dollars. And it wasn't just about money. This was deliberate, malicious, and, honestly, dangerous. She could have been electrocuted, and she definitely damaged property that wasn't hers. The next morning, I went over to talk to her. I knocked on her door, and she opened it with that all-too-familiar frown. "Karen," I said, trying to keep calm, "did you rip out my EV charger last night?" Her eyes widened for a second, but then she smirked. "Oh, that thing? Yes, I did. It's an eyesore. This is a family neighborhood, not some futuristic science project. You can't just clutter up the street with wires and gadgets." I was stunned. She actually admitted it to my face like she was proud of it. "Karen," I replied, "that's my private property. You had no right." "I had every right," she cut me off. "I've spoken to other neighbors. Nobody likes that ugly charging thing hanging there. It's a hazard. What if children touch it? What if it catches fire?" I did everyone a favor. At that point, my patience was hanging by a thread. "You vandalized my property. That charger costs thousands of dollars. You can't just tear it out because you don't like how it looks." Instead of apologizing, she crossed her arms and said, "Well, maybe you should drive a normal car instead of wasting everyone's time with that battery toy." I took a deep breath and walked away. There was no reasoning with her. She genuinely thought she was in the right. Later that day, I called Tesla support. I explained what happened, and they confirmed what I already suspected. Repairing or replacing a ripped-out charger wasn't going to be cheap. Not only was the hardware destroyed, but the wiring in the wall needed to be inspected, repaired, and recertified. They gave me an official estimate, several $1,000s. The best part? Tesla's legal department told me they could itemize the damage and create an official bill that I could use if I wanted to file a claim against Karen. They even mentioned that, since the vandalism was caught on camera and she openly admitted it, I had more than enough grounds for legal action. I decided not to confront her again right away. Instead, I gathered all the evidence, the security footage, the photos of the damage, and Tesla's official report. I filed a police report for vandalism and property damage. The officer I spoke with shook his head and said, "Yeah, that's definitely criminal mischief. She can't just rip stuff off your wall because she doesn't like it." At this point, the story was only beginning. Little did Karen know, the bill Tesla would send her, combined with the police report, would leave her completely shocked. But that's the second half of the story. For now, all I could do was shake my head at the sheer audacity. Imagine being so entitled, so convinced the world revolves around you, that you think you can physically destroy someone else's property and call it doing a favor. That was Karen in a nutshell. And standing there, staring at the empty spot on my garage wall where my charger used to be, I realized this wasn't just a fight about an EV charger. This was about standing up to someone who thought they could bulldoze everyone else with arrogance and entitlement. Little did she know, her actions were about to backfire in the most expensive way possible. A few days after Karen ripped out my EV charger, Tesla emailed me the final report. It wasn't just a repair bill. It was a detailed, itemized list that could make anyone's jaw drop. The replacement charger itself cost over $1,000. Add in the specialized labor, rewiring, inspection, and safety certification, and the total ballooned to several thousand. I remember sitting at my desk, staring at that number, and thinking, this is going to break Karen. The Tesla representative even chuckled on the phone. "Don't worry," he said, "we'll send the official invoice in your neighbor's name. Since you've already filed the police report, and you have video proof, this falls squarely on her." Now, here's where it gets even better. The police officer handling the case personally delivered the documentation to Karen. The repair estimate, the invoice, and the notice that she was liable for the damages. I didn't see her face right away, but my Ring camera sure did. There she was, standing at her porch, holding the thick envelope. She opened it, skimmed through the first page, and then her expression started to change. The smug confidence she always carried drained away, replaced with wide eyes and a gaping mouth. She flipped through the pages faster and faster, her hands trembling. And then she literally staggered backward, grabbed the doorframe, and almost collapsed onto her porch chair. It was like watching a movie in slow motion. The Karen who had proudly admitted to ripping out my charger just days earlier was now pale as a ghost, staring at a bill worth more than her monthly mortgage payment. Later, when I went outside to get my mail, she stormed over, paper still in her hand, and started shouting. "Are you insane?" she screamed. "Tesla is trying to scam me. There's no way this costs this much. I'm not paying this." I calmly replied, "Karen, you destroyed my property. This isn't a scam. This is the official repair cost. You did it. You pay for it." She waved the papers in my face, almost tearing them. "You're trying to ruin me financially. This is harassment. I was protecting the neighborhood from your stupid toys." I pulled out my phone and showed her the security footage again. "Karen, you admitted to it. On camera. To my face. And now it's on record with the police. If you don't pay, this goes to court." Her face turned red, part anger, part embarrassment. I'll call my lawyer," she barked before storming off. Here's the kicker. A few days later, she actually did try to fight it. She went to the HOA, complaining that my charger was a public hazard. The HOA president, who drives a hybrid, by the way, shut her down immediately. "Karen, it was on his property, not common grounds. You're responsible for the damages." When that didn't work, she tried calling Tesla directly, claiming she was the victim. But Tesla had already attached the police report and security footage to the case. They politely told her, "Ma'am, this is your liability." Word spread quickly around the neighborhood. Everyone knew about Karen's antics, but this time, she had finally gone too far. People started avoiding her. Kids whispered about how Karen tried to kill the electric car. Neighbors who used to tolerate her now rolled their eyes when she walked by. And me? Well, Tesla eventually came out, installed the brand new charger, and made sure everything was safe. The wall was patched, the wiring recertified, and honestly, the new unit looked even better than before. But the best part wasn't the charger. It was the lesson. Karen had tried to sabotage me, thinking she could bully her way into controlling everyone's lives. Instead, she ended up with a bill that nearly made her faint, legal trouble on her record, and a reputation as the neighborhood villain. The last time I saw her, she was sitting on her porch, glaring at me as I plugged in my car, the soft hum of the Tesla charger filling the air. I almost felt bad for her, almost. Because the truth is, some people don't learn until life slaps them with a price tag big enough to wake them up. And for Karen, that slap came in the form of a Tesla invoice, one she'll never forget.